I want to talk about Elijah Masinde, Nameme. I want to talk what people do not know. If I were to talk about Elijah Masinde, Nameme, it will be a long story. But I want to talk about him on the aspect of the misinterpretation about his so-called prophecy. It is very hard for a non-Bukusu, leave alone a non-Luhya, to interpret what he said. I'm a linguistic, but my first language is Bukusu. Simply because my late mother was a Kikuyu from Bishop Gati Mugandu. My late father was Amsamo Tachoni. But I'm more fluent in Kibukusu than Kitachoni. Why? My paternal grandmother was a member of the JI-TENGE clan. And according to Luhya traditions, the youngest son of a woman is allowed to adapt the culture and traditions of her people. My wife is a Tiriki. We had agreed that our lastborn goes to Kaimosi forest. But my youngest son could not go to Kaimosi forest because when he felt that he was of age, the years rhymed with the Bukusu Kabras Tachoni circle. That is the only reason that he did not go to Kaimosi forest. But our tradition allows the youngest son of a woman to pursue the tradition rights of his mother's people. My grandmother's lastborn, who was also her youngest son, died before coming of age. So my father grew up being the lastborn of a Mwengere lady. He underwent the Baengere Bukusu tradition, and so by extension, I am Bukusu. I have undergone various traditions of the Bukusu because of that. Although, when I came of age, I underwent the Tachoni Amachi tradition. But I'm allowed to attend Huricha. Now, the Bukusu tradition, or any other Luhya tradition. For example, me, I'm not supposed to attend the Tiriki tradition. They consider me an outsider. So, when Raila goes to Elijah Masinde's grave and cements it, he goes against the tradition. Because even Maragoli is not allowed to go there. 2, Raila has misused deliberately the so-called prophecy of Elijah Masinde. Dini ya Msambwa, the nearest translation I can make, although that is not the exact translation, but Dini ya Msambwa could be called Holy Ghost Church. Now, Elijah Masinde never bowed to somebody from Luo tribe. He has 5 or more conviction of contempt of court for having caused sins in a court, because he used to say that he could not be tried before a Luo man. That one, nobody talks about that, but it is true. Now, let us go to what Elijah Masinde said. I have heard him twice, personally, one-on-one. The first time, the bazaar of Bungoma High School, 1980, lost his father near Bungoma town. And we went there, and we saw, that is the first time I ever saw Adinia Musambwa burial. That was 1980 or 81, when I was doing my A-levels. Around 1984, I also attended a meeting at Maturu, where Elijah Masinde uttered the exact words that are being misinterpreted by Raila. I will not speak the word, I will not translate the words, but I will speak them exactly as he said. He faced south and stretched his left hand, thereby pointing rough estimate of where Central Province is. And he said, "Bubwami bwanjire yeyo." Then he changed his hand, pointing southwest. I have to correct myself. First of all, he said, "Bana babukusu." Then stretched his hand, left hand, pointing the rough estimate of Central Mountain area. He said, "Bana babukusu, bubwami bwanjire yeyo." Then he moved his hand to the general direction of southeast and said, "Nono bulianano." And southeast from that place is the rough estimate of Kapsabet. Then he said, "Bubwami nibukhola khumwana muluya ta." You know, he started Bana babukusu. He was addressing Bukusus, but he reached a place, he said, "Bubwami nibukhola khumuluya ta, bukhatire eluchi ni oluicha nano." And then he pointed his feet with the two legs, with the two hands. Now, let me repeat it whole without interrupting and saying, "Bana babukusu, bubwami bwanjire yeyo, bona bulia, nibukhola khumwana muluya nano ta, bukhatire khunyanja ni obwicha nano." Did his prophecy work? It never worked. Kibaki was the vice president then, 1980, 81, and even 84. It was just an assumed thing that Moi will die in office, and then Kibaki, being from Central, he'll take over. But this man was so convinced that the third president of Kenya would be a Luo. And then the fourth president of Kenya would be a Luhya. Look at the situation. The third president was the same Kibaki, with a lot of water crossed the bridge. Then the fourth president was a Kikuyu. It shows that a prophecy is only mentioned if it is fulfilled. This one, I got an impression of a train going downhill, because even his hands were showing. When he was showing Central or the mountain, the hand was raised. And then he brought it halfway, then he brought it slightly down to show that it has touched the leg, then brought it to his legs. It did not happen. Lastly, recently during his campaign in Bungoma, he told Bukusus, "Shame on you." Shame on Bukusus for not supporting him, because he cemented Elijah Masinde's grave. I want to say this. My grandmother, who was a Bukusu, taught my mother Kibukusu. My mother was a Kikuyu. My father grew up talking Kibukusu. In our home, we speak Kibukusu. You can find grammatical problems in my sentences in Kitachoni, but I'm yet to get anybody finding mistakes in my Kibukusu. Did I hear Raila saying that he cemented Elijah Masinde's grave? Dini ya Musambwa do not cement graves. And I just said that Raila, not because he's a Gentile, I said among the lawyers, even me, who is a dual citizen, I'm qualified to be a Tachoni because I underwent a Machi, and I'm qualified to be a Bukusu because I've attended their ceremonies, because my father underwent Holicha. Even if my last born would have undergone the Tiriki forest issue, I am not allowed to enter the Kaimosi forest during those celebrations. Now, how Raila was taken to Dini Msambwa's tomb and cemented it. The family of Elijah Masinde Nameme have a right to that, but they are wrong. They are really wrong.